What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Toby. You know me from Sister Act 2, Mr. Oh Happy Day, and the hit R&B group City High. I'm welcoming everybody to tune into the Michael Finkley Show on YouTube and also on the Greater Works Network on Roku TV. Don't forget to subscribe.
Cause I've been working all my life just to make it, just to make it, just to make it. I've been working all my life just to make it, just to make it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Michael Finkley Show. Thanks for joining us today. So I was having a conversation the other day, and I was talking to my father, and we were just, having a general conversation. He said something to me that really stood out. He said, "Son, you have to look at the bigger picture." I'm like, looking at the bigger picture. And I just, meditated on that for a while, for days. And so I realized that in life, in situations that we go through, we can't look at the right now. In the moment, I know that we may be excited, we may be upset, we may be anxious, but at the end of the day, when we get calmed down to that level of peace, the bigger picture is always there, right? And sometimes the decisions that we make could affect that bigger picture in our ladder. So I just encourage you, always think about the bigger picture of any situation, because you never know. You just never know. So always think of, meditate on the bigger picture and not be so hasty in making a decision in that moment. Our guest today, we have Martin Bailey and we have Natalie Williams with us. Two awesome people with awesome stories again of triumph and success. So you're in for a treat again. See you in a bit. We'll be right back. Coming up, we have Natalie Williams. We'll be right back. On the next Michael Finkley, we'll be chatting with Chris Singleton. He talks with us about the loss of his mother from the Emanuel 9 shooting. How has his life changed through his life's events? Monday. Looking for a mentoring program for your young male between the age of 6 and 18 in Columbia, South Carolina? Well, look no further. Big Homie, Little Homie Mentoring Program is the program for you. Under the leadership of Mr. Jamal Stroud, Big Homie, Little Homie is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that caters and mentors at-risk youth that come from single-parent homes. The organization caters to young males between the ages of 6 and 18 within the greater Columbia area. The organization is devoted to shaping and molding their life into great men of society. Big Homie Little Homie organizes male gatherings, discussions, and even educational assistance devoted to guiding and leading them into a positive light. Making a positive attitude will help in transforming their life regardless of what is experienced in life. For more information on Big Homie Little Homie Mentoring Program, visit our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Everybody, welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Now, our next guest, she is a speaker, she's a scholar, she's an educator, and she reminds us that leadership isn't a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Introducing Natalie Williams. How are you, Nat?
I'm doing really well. I'm very joyful.
Oh, I love it. And I must, before we get started with all these
questions and stuff, I must tell the audience how we met. It was almost 4 years ago. I had taken some of my students at the time to an awesome conference in DC. It was a student leadership conference, and my students learned so much from that conference. They're still talking about it to this day. But I know that for myself, that I learned that I needed to kind of branch off and do my own thing. And so Nat, along with other presenters that were there, were very much so an influence for me, that the next year, literally, I started my own consulting firm. And ever since, I've been speaking, I've been presenting, and all this kind of good stuff. So you're an influence, Nat. You're definitely an influence. And I thank you for that.
That's an honor. That's an honor to hear that, because it's like once your candle is lit, the responsibility isn't to just hold that fire to yourself. Your responsibility is to help light other candles. So for me, it's an honor and it's a privilege to hear that I help light your candle in some form or fashion.
That you did, and it has not gone out yet.
Yes.
So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Nat, on South Side of Chicago, where you're from, where you were born and raised, where you were raised and stuff, who are some of your influences to be this person you are today?
Oh, that's such a hard question, but such an easy question. I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and some of my role models, and I talk about her in my book, but one of my role models is one of my high school teachers. One of my high school teachers, she was over our college prep program. It's called AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination. So it's a national college preparatory program. And she just instilled professionalism and academic readiness into our heads. And I'll never forget how she just taught me how to present myself and how to understand the importance of a name and a reputation. And it's not about being perfect, but it's about being accountable, and it's about having integrity, and it's about making good decisions as best as you can. So she's one of them. Who else? She's one of my mentors. I have another mentor that is she's not my professional mentor, but she's more like my personal and spiritual mentor that helps me just, stay on track with life and humanity, and finding that balance between work and rest, or as I like to call it, grace and grit. And I think just watching other speakers that I may not even know on a personal level, but watching them climb their ladder and watching them grow as speakers, it shows me that it's possible, especially when it's people that I may have interacted with once or twice, or just seeing their journey, maybe even grow on social media. So I would say it's a variety of people who have tapped into their purpose that have showed me what it looks like to live a purpose-driven life. I think that's the name of Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life. But when you watch people be impactful and you watch people make impact authentically, you can't help but get excited and be like, okay, how can I find out what gifts that I have that I can contribute to the world and I can help other people? Going back to the whole analogy of lighting the candle.
Yeah. Oh, and it shows with your voice. Your voice can influence the millions. It really can. So when did you realize that, maybe I do have a voice?
Side note, I always used to be self-conscious about my voice, believe it or not, like the actual sound of my voice, because I always felt like my voice, it wasn't like as high pitched as as it should have been. I always felt like I had this lower tone voice. And as a kid, I would get like teased about it. So I was always very self-conscious about my voice. Now I'm, I love it, and it's changing lives. But you asked me about the first time that I realized that my voice had power was, I would say officially, I was like, all right, that's the one right there. August 2016. I was invited to speak at Central Michigan University, which is where I went for undergrad, where I got my bachelor's degree. And they had this freshman orientation leadership program a week before the actual semester started. And it was like a multicultural program. And they called me up and were like, hey, I want you to come and keynote this program that we have. You were a dope student when you were here. we want you to come in and motivate the students. And I wasn't really a speaker then. I was just a college grad that still had ties to university. So I was like, okay, cool. I think I could do it. And so I came and I keynoted in front of 300 people. 300 people. And they were like, we want you to incorporate so I was working on I was wrapping up a master's then at Illinois State University. And they're like, we want you to incorporate, a little bit of your academic proudness that you have now, but then also too, talk a little bit about your student leadership experience that you had when you were a student here at Central Michigan. So I had studied abroad, Greek life, mentored other students, all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. I put together this presentation. It had this real jazzy, catchy name to it. And I keynoted. And would you believe that I had lines of students waiting to talk to me afterwards? And at that moment, I kid you not, it was as if I just knew that God was telling me, like, yeah, this is not just something you're good at. This is a part of your purpose and a part of your calling. And I was like, okay, I have to keep doing this. So that was one of the initial moments that made me realize the power of my voice. There have been multiple times with me being on the road with my speaking tours or even my book tour. And pre-COVID, when I was doing things face-to-face, now it's virtual, but pre-COVID, like physically being there and talking to the audience and even talking about leadership and leadership despite maybe trauma or circumstances. And I talked about how I lost my mom at a young age when I was 13. And I've on multiple occasions, I've had people come up to me with tears in their eyes, telling me that they too have had that same experience with losing a mom, but them hearing my story and seeing how I have transcended beyond that loss lets them know that they can keep going. And for me, that is some of the biggest affirmations that my voice not only has power, but the power is unfolding and the power is touching people.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. And I know that your mama is just looking down, smiling and grinning because you have made some awesome strides in your short life here on this earth. At 20 years old, bachelor's degree, 22 years old, master's, and now you're a doctoral student. But it's something unique about your master's program and that thesis towards the end. Can you talk about that?
So I've always been a super geek. And back in the 7th grade, I would always watch the show A Different World. It was A Different World and Saved by the Bell. They would come on back to back. That was right before I would, leave to go to school, middle school and junior high school. And I would watch A Different World and I couldn't explain the feeling that I got from that show beyond, it just made me feel good. It gave me the warm and fuzzies. I felt connected to the characters. The show just made me feel good. I loved it. And by feeling good, I mean, it made me feel like I could relate, and it just gave me an additional safe place. And when I went and got my master's, I was like, I hear we got to do this thing called a thesis. I think I want to do it on a TV show. And I was like, I think I want to do it on the show A Different World. I literally said this at orientation for my master's program. I stood up and I said, I'm going to do my thesis on the show A Different World. And when I was matriculating through the program, there was a guy that was an upperclassman in the program. He was doing his thesis on Orange is the New Black. So I was like, I knew it was possible. I'm like, okay, cool. So I got up with him and I'm like, okay, who's on your committee? How are you doing this? What do I get the scripts from? And I couldn't get the scripts, so I had to transcribe the episodes myself. Neither here nor there. So yeah, I learned his steps. And to wrap up the story, I ended up finding out that the cast of A Different World was going to be at Norfolk State University. And anybody that knows me knows that I love A Different World. So when the flyer came out for the event at Norfolk State University, literally everybody kept sending me the flyer. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. What y'all want me to do with this, right? And it wasn't until my sister, she was the last person to send it to me. And I ended up being on the phone with my aunt. And I'm like, yo, auntie, everybody keeps sending me this flyer for this event at Norfolk State University with the cast. And she was like, you probably should reach out to the school and see if you go down there, if you can meet the cast. That sounded so far-fetched to me. I'm like, auntie, no. She was like, no, hang up the phone with me. You find a number on a flyer. You need to contact them. Eventually I did. The lady was like, hey, yeah, no, you can come if you want to come to the event, but no, you can't like meet them. And then I was like, okay, lady, I love this show since I was in the 7th grade. Please. I'm like, please. I was a grad student then, living off like a graduate stipend of like next to nothing. I'm like, I will scrape together the money from my graduate stipend to come down there. Like, I will empty my bank account to come down there. And she could tell that I was serious and a little desperate. So she was like, okay, cool. Write me a 1-page letter as to why you think we should let you meet the cast if you come down here. And keep in mind, this was as I'm talking to her, this is the same day that I defended my thesis. And so I wrote her a 1-page letter from the bottom of my heart. And when she read the letter, what I did not know was that she went behind my back in a good way. And she ended up letting one of the sponsors of the event know about me. And so when I sent her the 1-pager, she shared that 1-pager with the sponsor. The sponsor was a Black man who was a VP of the bank that sponsored the event. And so he read the letter and was like, I have to help bless this young lady. And so what he did was, he knew that the cast was going to be on the Steve Harvey show. And so he set it up with the Steve Harvey show and was like, hey, there's this young lady that loves this show. She did her thesis on it. She's not that far from Chicago, because Illinois State, where I was getting the master's, was about 2 hours from Chicago. And they were filming the Steve Harvey show then in Chicago. So he was like, listen, she's not that far from Chicago. Please try and surprise her with the opportunity to meet the cast on the show. I had no idea about that. The lady, now going back to the story with the lady ended up, looking at the letter and she's like, okay, cool, you can come down. If you come down, you can meet the cast. I still had no clue that they had the Steve Harvey thing in their back pocket too. And so the Steve Harvey show called me and was like, hey, we're looking for, they emailed me first, said, hey, we were looking for college students to ask Steve a question about college. I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I know a scam when I see one. So I deleted the email and kept going about my day. And then the guy, I think he may have called me, or he emailed me back and was like, hey, did you get the email? And I'm like, yes, and this is a scam. And he's like, well, no, I really work for the Steve Harvey show. I'm like, all right, cool, right? And I'm Oprah Winfrey. And he's like, no, I really do. So he FaceTimes me while he's in the building, and he shows me his business card. And he's like, look, I really do work for Steve Harvey. And he's like, we want you to come and ask Steve a question about college. Again, it sounded like a scam, but I'm like, okay, this is really Steve Harvey show. Long story short, I walk out on the set, and my aunt was my +1, the same aunt that was like, you need to go and call them. My aunt knew about the whole thing, because they would choose my +1. So they're like, we need her contact information. They really needed her contact information to let her know, like, we're going to surprise your niece. Make sure she gets here. Make sure we keep it a secret. We walked out on the set, and I saw these huge pictures of the cast of A Different World lined up on the walls of the set. And I stopped and I looked, and I turned around and I looked at my auntie, and I looked again, and I was like, auntie, I'm tripping. I was like, what is that? And it clicked. I kid you not, I started hyperventilating. I started crying. Like, it wasn't even like a cry. It was like a wail, like literally bawling my eyes out. And I couldn't even like stand up. I remember there was like this little pole. I don't know I can't think of the name of it, but like a little pole on the wall. And I remember holding that and just a mess, complete mess. I couldn't breathe. And the producers are like asking my aunt, like, ma'am, is she okay? And my aunt's like, no, she's not, but she would be. The producers thought they were going to have to call like the paramedics. I thought they were too. Long story short, my reaction was so grand. It was so big, not because I was preparing to be starstruck, but it was so grand and so big because that show was a special thing between my mom and I. And so I felt like I had walked into a room and I saw my mom. And at that point, me being a woman, a young adult that was just growing and about to get her master's at 22 and doing all these different things, I felt like that was her telling me, like, you know, I see what you're doing and I'm proud of you. And so I got to meet the cast on the Steve Harvey Show. They were amazed at my thesis, and I got to tell them what they meant to me. And then I also got to meet them again 2 weeks later at the event at Norfolk State University.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow. And what I really learned from that story is that you were not afraid to ask a question. All right. It came from one simple question. How can I meet these persons? And they did this amazing thing for you. Wow. Power of communication. I love it. I love it.
And moving past fear and being able to listen to the right voices. And here's something that makes the story even more just eerie, ironic, and more monumental. Once I get to the event at Norfolk State University, there's a guy that comes up to me and he's like, "So how was the Steve Harvey Show?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? How's the Steve Harvey Show?" Because I signed a pretty much a non-disclosure saying that I couldn't say anything about the show, that I was even on the show until they gave me an air date for it. So I had to sit on that for like a month, literally a month. What? Yes, literally couldn't say anything. So we filmed the show, and then 2 weeks later I go to Norfolk State. This man comes up to me and he's like, "So how was the Steve Harvey Show?" I've never seen this man a day in my life before meeting him in that moment. So I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm the one that set it up." He was the VP of the bank that was the sponsor of the event. And I got to look this man in his face and tell him thank you. And he was like, "There was no way that I could read that letter and not help bless you."
Amazing. People working for your good in the background.
Lighting candles. That's our responsibility. He lit my candle, and I don't even think he knew the magnitude of what he was doing.
Wow. And you have been doing that again for others.
Yeah.
I feel since that day, even greatly, through Nat Will Speak. Tell us about it.
Yes, Nat Will Speak is a play on my name. My name is Natalie Williams. And Nat Will Speak, it's actually, if you look at the logo, it's Nat Will, and then it's a comma, and then it's speak with the exclamation mark. And so it's as if God is telling me, like, Nat, speak. Like, Nat, I'm giving you the command to speak. And so it's super deep, right? Super deep. And under Nat Will Speak, I travel the country and I provide keynotes and workshops and seminars, however you want to phrase it, across the country to different colleges, universities, high schools, and conferences that all relate to student leadership. And it has just been amazing, just the lives I've been able to touch and how I've been able to grow. Like, it's funny because I get to watch myself grow as well. And I get to see myself pour into other people. And as I pour into other people, I'm being poured into by seeing the impact that I have the opportunity to make. And so Nat Will Speak has continued to grow. And I count it as such a blessing because even in the pandemic, I've still been able to touch lives, and it's virtual now, but I'm still being able to touch lives. And even with being booked, like, this academic year will probably be one of my, so far to this point, one of my most booked academic years. And I don't count that. I do not count that as something that's less than. I count it as something I'm appreciative of. And so Nat Will Speak allows me to travel the country, whether in person or virtually, provide keynotes, and then now, not just Nat Will Speak, but drum roll.
Dun, dun, dun. Bring it up.
And so the name of my book is Interview. So INNER, Interview Lessons in Leadership. And so it looks at some of the biggest lessons in life and leadership that I've learned. And some of the stories that I've told you are in the book. And so how I met the cast of A Different World. but also looking at that experience and getting the lessons out of it. What happens when someone that you don't even know, they see you and they learn about you and they want to help you. The power of being able to say thank you, the power of leadership despite trauma. So me losing my mom at 13 and me literally watching my mom unexpectedly pass away in front of me at 13, that's very traumatic. But being able to look at the lessons in life that she taught me of how to take care of myself as a young lady, how to, she would always say, don't get caught up in no little boy's face, right? How to interact with other people, how to not, she used to always say, don't ever get caught up in no mess, meaning don't find yourself in gossip, right? And she even taught me how to be able to, how to cook, how to iron my own clothes, how to make sure I knew the importance of saving money. She was teaching me all of these things, and neither she nor I knew that she would pass away and I would have to activate those things. And so the book looks at mentorship. It looks at authentic mentorship. It looks at counterfeit mentorship. How do you know the difference between the two when someone is coming into your life as a potential mentor? It also talks about mental health. And so how me as an adult, I realized that I hadn't fully grieved my mom. And so I went to therapy, and I still do therapy. I have a Black woman therapist that we share the same faith. She's a believer, and how that has just been monumental in me understanding more about myself, my experiences, and how I can just be more open. And because I'm willing to do that self-improvement work, I'm able to be a better speaker because I can even better relate to people. And so this book has been powerful. It has been dynamic. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote it, but just the reviews that I've gotten from the book, literally even today, one of the readers that has my contact information, she was just like, I finished the book today, or maybe she finished it before today, but she contacted me today, and she was just like, the things that not only the things that I got to learn about you, but how I was able, or how she was able to take those lessons and reflect on them herself. And so each chapter actually comes with its own interview question. So INNER questions, where you can reflect on your own, and you can take the lessons that you learn in the chapter and put it back on you. And so this book it's blessed me, but it's also blessing other people. And I've seen my own life change by writing this book, and it's been such a release. And I wrote this book and I released it as a doctoral student. So I'm working on a PhD, and I also released the book at the same time. And so the book has been great. And now I'm on my book tour / speaking tour, and I'm excited. And the big reveal is that I'm also currently working on book number 2.
You cannot stop Nat. I'm telling you, you cannot stop Nat. What an influence, what an encouragement that is. And that shows that if she can do it, anyone can do it.
And the book doesn't just show the what. The book doesn't just show the what, and not, the book isn't just, oh, Nat is so great. No, the book is the how to. And that's what I think that we have to do as we light other candles, is to show other people our scars, show them our blueprint. And that's exactly what the book does. It shows you the how and not just the what.
I love it. I love it. How can they find you on social media, and how can they get that awesome book, Nat?
Absolutely. You can find me on social media at Nat Will Speak, NatWillSpeak. So at Nat Will Speak on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And you can purchase the book on my website, www.natwillspeak.com. So if you want a signed copy, you can go to natwillspeak.com. Or if you are like, hey, Nat, I'm real tech savvy, I don't need it signed, I can do Amazon. The book is on Amazon as well.
I love it. Nat, we thank you for being on and sharing your words, your knowledge, and your experience to others. Please continue to shine. Please continue to shine, because we need you. Thank you for being on.
My pleasure.
Next, Martin Bailey's here. We'll be right back. I'm just not college material. I am tired of school. I'm just not sure what I want to do after graduation. Sound familiar?
Welcome to the Prelo Educational Institute. Our focus is to help young people prepare for life after high school. It's never too early to start planting the seed for education, career, and life overall. The Prelo Educational Institute is made up of the following two products. The first product is the book titled I Ain't Going to College, A Guide for Life After High School. This is the first book of a series that introduces middle and high school students to a young man struggling to find his way and make the decision about whether attending college is the right choice for him or not. The book has questions inside, and a supplemental curriculum can also be purchased. The newest product from the Prelo Educational Institute is our online course titled Preparing for Life After High School. In this course, students will learn about decision-making, self-confidence, accountability, self-awareness, and many other topics that speak to social-emotional learning. Young people will read a story about a young man who never gave up no matter what the circumstances were. The course is interactive and has questions, quizzes, and video. Do not wait until your child or student is a senior in high school to start planning. Enroll today. To enroll and learn more, please visit www.speakerauthormarlowe.com.
Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Now, our next guest, he is a father, he's a coach, he is a trainer, he also reminds us that speaking life into your business is his ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Martin Bailey. Martin.
Hold on.
How are ya?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I cannot complain. I love it. I love it. And so I've been following you for a while now, believe it or not. And I'm loving what you're doing because it's something that I inspire to do as well. So when did you know that you had a voice to actually help others in their different endeavors? Well, it started in terms of recognizing it, or should I say someone else recognizing it before I did. Yeah, it started, I would have to say, back when I was in the military. I was in the military. I served for 20 years, 20-year Army veteran.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate it, man. Served in the Army, and it was back in like the early 2000s time frame where I was at work one day and I answered the phone. I was at work at the office on the base, answered the phone. And, you know, like with any organization, you have a particular greeting that you have to say, you know, based on your department, your outfit, whatever. And I answered the phone, said that particular greeting. And the person on the other end, they said, Sergeant Bailey, you know, addressing by rank, Sergeant Bailey. It sounds like, have you ever been like on the radio or in TV or on the media of any sort? I was like, no, I have not. He said, you sound like you should be on radio. And that was back in like the early 2000s. So fast forward to, I say like maybe 2011, 2012. No, actually, I take that back. 2010. Fast forward about 2010. And I am working for a health insurance carrier. And for one facet of my job, I had to answer phone calls to help people resolve issues with their medical claims. So like an hour a day, I would be on the phone. People would sometimes call in an irate type of fashion because, you know, claims equate to money, medical bills, et cetera, et cetera. So they would call in irate. I would start talking to them, and oftentimes people would ask me the same question. Have you ever been on TV? Have you ever been on the radio? And I would say no, of course. So time marches on, and there comes a time in my life where I go through a very trying time. I go through a separation. I go through a divorce, and money was tight. I had to make some sacrifices in the midst of that, in the midst of the separation and the divorce. So money was really tight. And I was like at a point where I was not going to make it. Honestly, I was not going to make it. Money was that tight. But I have to say it was God that led me to be, I guess, prompted to use something that people would always make mention about. They would make mention about my voice. And I'm like, I have one, you have one. What makes mine any different? But people have constantly told me that my voice had something special, if you will. So I took the money I had. I found a couple of sources. I actually went on LinkedIn. I typed into the search engine or what have you to find out like different categories of things. Typed in voiceover. It led me to a person. Her name was Belinda Kendall. I sent her a quick message. I said, I see what your background is. Can you point me in the right direction in terms of pursuing like this voiceover path? And she responded. And when she responded, she said she usually doesn't respond, but she was led to respond to me. So, yeah. And so I went ahead. I got some information from her. She led me in a direction of an individual by the name of Chris Clay. And he has a studio in Charlotte, North Carolina called New Soul Productions. So I called him up. The thing is, I called him, but I didn't call him until maybe like 8 months later, believe it or not. I was actually transitioning from one job, working with the health insurance carrier, to another job, which I am now affiliated with the state of South Carolina. I had a week off, so I took that week off. Within that week's time frame, I took a day off or a day, and I drove to Charlotte. He made me a demo. You know, I was reading different excerpts, put a demo together and packaged it and what have you. Then I started marketing myself. I actually came across one of my LinkedIn connections who also, coincidentally, this person interviewed me, believe it or not, when I was trying to get out of the job I had with the health insurance provider or carrier. She interviewed me at one time, and I think that was like maybe 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So come to find out, she's starting her own business. She's starting her own company. And I said, would you like me to do a voiceover for you, a commercial segment? And she said, yes. So when she said yes, that was about maybe a week, maybe 10 days after I did my demo. So 10 days after I did my demo, I had my first client. So after that, she referred me and the ball just started rolling from there.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
When we walk into our passions and our purpose, those doors just start opening up for us. And that's how we know. We down here, we need some kind of confirmation at times. So that's definitely how we know. And I love that. So what are some of the most exciting voiceovers that you have done thus far in your career?
I would have to say, well, one, thinking back, I'm connected with a lady by the name of Brandy Hunt. She's on Facebook. She's an author, and she also teaches people how to self-publish. Brandy Hunt, and she knew of my abilities and my skill set, and she said to me, well, actually in conversation, I mentioned to her, I said, okay, I heard that she was starting actually a talk show. Mm-hmm. It was called Journey to Success, and it was going to be actually broadcasted on the Wow Network, or is it Wow or Now? I think it's Now Network. Which was going to be like nationwide. Mm-hmm. And she said, you know what? It'd be pretty cool if you were to do like an intro, because we were talking about that. I said, what about an intro? She said, yeah, that would be cool to do like an introduction, pre-recorded introduction for the show. Because, when it first comes on, credits are rolling and things of that nature, there would be an intro in place. So I was privileged enough not only to do the intro for a show that was nationally televised, but I was also privileged enough to be her first guest on that show. So that was like one of the most amazing, I can say, experiences or voiceovers that I have done, because it was like twofold. One, I got a chance to not just have my voice being heard locally, but it was being heard nationally.
Oh my gosh. and it happened so quickly for you. That is just amazing. And so I know that you have spent some time in radio as well.
Oh, yes.
You received those phone calls saying that, hey, you know, you sound like you should be on the radio, and now this has happened for you. How has that been for you?
That's been awesome. And that was something that I actually always wanted to do. I spent a lot of time listening to the radio growing up. I think I listened to the radio more than I watched TV. Sometimes it was like an equal balance, but I can recall plenty of nights falling asleep listening to the local radio stations growing up in New Jersey, 98.7 KISS FM, 107.5 WBLS, and Jazz 88. I just remember just listening to just the flow of segments, you know, the DJs that would come on, the radio announcers, the personalities, the various personalities. And also when I did watch TV, I guess I was like a weird kid. I watched a lot of news because I just liked the flow that the newscasters had. I mean, it was just seamless. It was streamlined, how they would deliver and articulate. Everything was just on point. On point, you know. Whether they were reading a cue card or a teleprompter or not, their ability to articulate it astounded me. So like I said, I must have been a weird kid, but
stop.
a lot of that I guess kind of locked in because I had a fascination for it. And I just was able to, you know, years later, I found myself having a opportunity to be a weekend host with WFMV, formerly 95.3, 96.1 now out of Columbia. And that was definitely an opportunity or a dream come true because I enjoyed doing it. When you enjoy what you do, it's not work, it's fun.
Definitely is fun. That is amazing. So now you have this awesome business that, again, you speak life into their business. Please talk about that.
Yeah, Voice of Triumph, founded in October of 2017. Basically, I have a voiceover company, and what I do is I connect with business owners, event planners, and still waiting on, well, with the exception of Brandy Hunt, an author, to one day narrate an audiobook. But I connect with entrepreneurs, and that in itself is just great because I have an opportunity to serve someone who serves others. Like I've had barbershop owners, I've had a gerontologist, you name it, you know, the list goes on and on, you know, beauty salon owners, people who do taxes, financial planning, you know, financial assistance, credit repair. Yes, it's been a pretty wide gamut of individuals who I've had an opportunity to work with. But basically, I have a consult with them. I find out about their business, what their business entails, glean information from them, and I compose a script. So it's basically implementing creative writing in a sense. Some of the clients I've had, I've been able to even generate a slogan for them, you know, to incorporate that into the script. So I can write like a 30-second script for you. I can write a 60-second script for you based on the information that I gather from your website, from a flyer, whatever the case may be. I put it all together into a 30-second segment, which will give everybody the 5 W's, if you will, and in 30 seconds, and also tell them how to contact you. And nowadays, I'm able to do my own engineering where I can access a music bed, you know, of their choice. Then I record that. I record my voice. I have the music bed, and then I can layer it all using recording software. Wow. So I'm pretty much self-sustained, but I'm looking also in 2021 to produce my own music so I can afford them the opportunity to, well, they have the opportunity to get ready-made produced tracks that I'm outsourcing now. But as far as the engineering, like I'm saying, I'm layering the tracks and I'm putting it all together right inside my home using software. So my voice plus the music layer it together. Then it's all compiled into one file, an MP3 file. Then it's sent to them, for a fee. It's sent to them.
That part.
Yeah, it's sent to them, and they have it, and they can use that in any way they want. They can use it for their website. They can use it. They can send it to a radio station. Many have done that and have it played on the radio station because it's a commercial. And that can help them, generate more customers, because it's all about advertising.
Amazing. And I love the way you said, this is 2021. What else does that vision have for this awesome year?
Well, I say definitely focusing on taking my talents to higher levels, different opportunities, looking to tap into the market of theater in terms of the cinema, movies, movie trailers, trying to touch base with someone in that field, in that realm. I don't know if it's a Tyler Perry or whoever, and in order to just get my voice to the place where I've been hoping to get it to, to have it public, to be able to have it in a place where I can have more people hear it, have it widely used. And because the thing is, and I'm not saying this in a sense like I want to be heard, I want to be known. I want to use my gift to the fullest while I'm on this earth.
Yeah.
I don't want to shortchange what God gave me, if you follow me.
That's it.
I don't want to half step. I've been working. I haven't been lazy with it. And I even have stepped out of my comfort zone in terms of using my voice. Just a couple years ago, I was asked to be an MC for a back to school bash for a church. And that was something I had never done. I've never MC'd per se,
Oh.
And I did it. I never allowed myself, I can say since day one, I never allowed myself to be intimidated by an opportunity, because sometimes we get intimidated by opportunities thinking that we're unable. So as I said, I was in the military. That courage, that I got in the military maybe had something to do with me just always driving forward. I can definitely say my parents, and first and foremost, God, with him on your side, we're not supposed to have any fear anyway, because he didn't give us a spirit of fear.
That's it.
Power, love, and a sound mind, right?
Sound mind. Yes, sir.
Opportunity comes. When it knocks, I'm opening the door. Let's go.
We gotta go. And you're sporting some awesome gear there, Martin.
Yeah, I have. That's another aspect of Voice of Triumph. I have a clothing line that I call Triumph Gear. And this right here was made a little more than a month ago. I want to say the design, maybe a little less than a month ago. The design was something that God gave me, and it's basically reflecting African-American history. As you see up top, it says our story, and then history is kind of on the bottom, like reflecting. And the reason I say that came about, for oftentimes, like, our story as African Americans has either been vacant from the annals of history, or misrepresented, or it's been altered a lot of times. Exactly the plight, the highs and the lows of African Americans throughout history.
Yeah.
And there's an old saying, his story or his story, meaning, other races may tell it one way, but us as a people, we know it a certain way. Our ancestors, our forefathers, our aunts, uncles, grandfathers, grandmothers, they tell us about what we went through, the struggle, and if you research history, you pick up the right material, you find the right information, it paints a different picture from what we may have been taught in school, or, in college, high school, grade school, whatever the case may be. But as you see, our story is on top. It's time for our story to be on top. That's why our story is on top. His story is on the bottom, and it's, facing upside down. But our story is history, So it's time for our story to be told and not just in February, but all the time.
Yes, sir.
And I commend you for what you're doing, because you're helping write our story. You know, I'm trying to do what I can to help write our story.
Yep.
So let's just keep doing it, you know, and just do what we have to do to keep adding more chapters to our story.
You go. There you go. Couldn't say it better myself. How can they find you on social media? And how can they get in contact with you if they say, hey, I need someone to do voiceovers for me?
Too easy. All you have to do, just turn on your computer, pull out your cell phone, and just type www.voice, that's VOICE, 471.com. And that is my web address to my website, www.voice471.com. The 471, like you may see it in the back right here on this little poster, that comes from Psalms 47:1. Oh, clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto God with a voice of triumph. And big shout out to a former co-worker that I work with at that health insurance carrier. Her name is Georgette. When I was in the early stages, she actually came up with the slogan, the company slogan for Voice of Triumph. She said, you know, you're a voiceover artist, right? Yeah. You're making commercials and, you know, writing scripts for people to help their business grow. You're speaking life into their business. It's like, speaking life into your business. That's what I'm doing. So big shout out to Georgette. But that's it. I mean, like I said, they can contact me on my website. I'm on Facebook as Martin Bailey. I also have a Facebook business page, and it's basically Voice of Triumph 471. If you type in at Voice of Triumph 471, it'll pull you, take you right to my business page as well. So I'm out there. I'm on Instagram as well as Martin Voice of Triumph. So there's no excuse, y'all.
No excuse. And your information is in the description below. Thank you so much, Mark, for being on and telling your words of knowledge, experience, and wisdom. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Pleasure was all mine.
Yes, sir.
Need a little motivation? Timothy Clifton is with us every week on Mondays to get your week started with a little motivation, all here on the Michael Finkley Show. Calling all TRIO, Gear Up, JAG, and other college readiness organizations. Hello everybody, it's Finkley with the Finkley Experience. I am here to offer you information about our college readiness cohort series. This college readiness series includes college applications, SAT, ACT prep, scholarships, financial aid, the mental mind state, HBCU versus PWI versus technical colleges, and so much more.
You know, this is helpful because it's actually like making me change my college plan.
Really?
If interested, visit our website, thefinkleyexperience.com, or just email us at michael@thefinkleyexperience.com. We're looking forward to working with you. Oh, welcome back. So you know what time it is? It's Friday, and every Friday we feature an amazing African-American, male or female, doing something to enhance the environment around them. It's our Black History Month moment.
Black History moment for this week. We have Judge Kerry Shipman with us. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I really appreciate the invite. I'm happy to be here, especially you.
Definitely. And so where did this passion of law come from? Did you always know that you wanted to become some type of legal figure?
I did not actually. Starting out in undergrad, I had the mindset of going into law enforcement. I know I wanted to do, be a police officer, FBI agent. That's something I always wanted to do. My mom, she worked in law enforcement for many years. She retired. So once I came to went to undergrad at Shaw University, I met a lot of attorneys that graduated from Shaw, and they told me I can do it. They believed in me. They gave me the spark. I did my first internship, and that allowed me to see the day-to-day operations of an attorney. And that just sparked my interest, and that's why I ended up going to law school.
Awesome, awesome. So as you decided to transition from what you were going to do into law, who are some of your major influences?
The person that gave me my first opportunity was Chris Young. He's alumni of Shaw University as well. He's also attorney out of DC. He really, sparked my interest into law. That was the person I mentioned previously.
Mm-hmm.
Evia Jordan, figures that are famous. Thurgood Marshall is definitely a public figure.
Yep.
Who inspired me to go into law as well.
Oh, awesomeness, awesomeness. And so I definitely feel that because of those influences, they push us to the max to where we want to see ourselves successfully. And so in becoming a judge, what does that look like? What does that process look like?
So in the state of North Carolina, I serve as a magistrate judge. I am appointed. I'm in an appointed position. I'm nominated by the district court, the clerk of the district court, Superior Court, and I'm affirmed by the Superior Court judge in that county. Once they, review your credentials and things like that, they nominate you as a screening process, and then they go ahead and appoint you to the position. So that's where I am now.
Okay. And within this position, how long have you held this current position as judge?
So I've served as a magistrate judge for 1 year now.
Okay.
And it's been a journey. I've learned a lot. I met a lot of people. It's definitely a learning experience.
Yep. I can only imagine of the persons that come into your courtroom. So how are within this position, how are you giving back to the youth, to the community, your environment around you? How are you giving back?
So one of the things that's dearest to my heart is education. Education is the biggest thing to me. That's one of the guiding principles that helped me get to where I am. A lot of individuals that come before me, a lot of them don't have their high school education. They leave school early, and it ranges in age from 21 to 30. And one of the things I do, I speak with some of them, and I'm willing to sit down with them to help them get their GED, and that's one of the biggest things that's dear to me. I don't know if you knew, but I was a person who dropped out of school myself. I earned my GED credential, went on to earn my bachelor's degree, my master's, a law school, and now working my PhD. So education is the big things to me, and I'm a lifelong learner.
I love it. I love it. So someone pushed you forward, and now you're just paying it forward in your present day, which is so important. I feel like at times we lose that art, but it's so important. So you are Black history. So what is some advice to males, females of color wanting to be an officer of the law as you are?
So one thing I can say is, I know when you're in high school, you're younger, you look at, hey, I want to become a lawyer. They tell you, hey, it's 7 years. And you just look at the time frame or how long it takes, or it looks like it's a lot of barriers to get to that point. One advice I would give is, no matter what obstacle a person say, hey, you have to do this, this, and this to get to this point. Don't look at it as an obstacle, basically. Look at it, hey, I can do this. Whatever challenge that arises before you, just look at it as I can accomplish it. And that's one piece of advice that helped me through. And just having confidence. Confidence is the biggest thing, especially in our community.
Gotcha. Confidence is always needed. It's definitely needed. And you're doing something very unique these days as well. You are running for Charlotte City Council District 2. Tell us about this. How did this come about?
That is correct. It is I think I'm the first one in my county to do something like this, coming from the position that I am now. It came about just seeing the day in and day out in my current role, the different individuals that come before me. A lot of them were coming from that specific area, District 2, that I, took keen interest in. And in the current role, I just feel I can make the big impact or a big difference as I can, because working in the law, you have to be fair. So a lot of political process can be involved in that. So I decided to run for Charlotte City Council, District 2. And I feel that in that position, I can make a bigger difference. And that's just a starting point of overall what I want to do.
I love it. And I know that you're going to do very well because in reading upon you and just observing you for some time now, you're very determined and dedicated to what you're doing. And so how can they volunteer or even donate to your campaign?
Perfect. They can visit my website. It's www.kerry, KERRYL, Shipman, SHIPMAN.com.
All right, you heard it here. Judge Kerry L. Shipman and my dear fraternity brother, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, good brother. You take care, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
On the next Michael Finkley, we'll be chatting with Chris Singleton. He talks with us about the loss of his mother from the EP19 shooting. How has his life changed through his life's events? Monday. Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. What did you learn? You know I was going to ask. What did you learn today? Let's have a conversation in the chat below. Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you so much, Mark, for being on and telling your stories of triumph and success. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. On the next Michael Finkley, we have Chris Singleton with us. Now, his mother was killed in the EP19 shooting in Charleston, South Carolina. That's so many years ago. And he gets to tell his story of how it's been affecting him. So it's a story you don't want to miss on Monday's Finkley. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Michael Finkley Show, and ring that bell for notification. We'll see an email saying, hey, new content's uploaded. Please listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And please visit our website for up-to-date information at michaelfinkleyshow.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a good one.